I am Captain Logan, and this is day 236 of Spawn Year. Brian Holguin is proving here that with his own protagonist and supporting characters in situations dreamed up entirely on his own, he's much better at making his Spawn sympathetic and relatable, and generally presents his narrative in a more direct and discernible way than he has in much of his time on the main Spawn title. Despite all the old world scenarios and language, these stories are leaps and bounds more clear and readable than the contemporary present day narrative with modern conventional English. I can actually summarize these without saying, I think this is what happens, but I'm not sure. Or, and then Spawn gets in a tight jam so bats magically fly out of his chest to resolve the fight through no fault of his own. I might cry a little if that ever happens in this book. Come to think of it, I wonder if I even have tear ducts now. This is a bona fide setup issue, but an emotionally charged one, laying the groundwork for plot, characterizations, and themes to be explored in the future. The issue opens with the vindictive and shallow-minded DuBlanc on a vengeful quest to find Covenant, presumably to pay him back for scarring his face, ruining his reputation, and then embarrassing him in defeat in that oddly ambiguous moment that ended Spawn's war with Revalin in issue number 4. Then we meet a beautiful young nun called Immaculata, who has committed herself to lifelong servitude to the church in penance for her believed sexual promiscuity. She failed to remain celibate before marriage and in her shame chose the extreme life of a nun, unnecessarily rebuking herself constantly by sneaking into the sanctuary and throwing herself on the stone floor every night. Even by the standards of the other sisters, this is obsessive behavior. Trying to live up to religious and social expectations is a struggle every character in this story faces. Covenant rescues a couple on the road threatened by a band of thieves and rapists, who he empathizes with because they have fallen in love and eloped against the rules and morality of their faith, just as he once did. By the way, I found Spawn's entrance here odd. Apparently his black stallion is in charge of all the one-liners because the balloon that reads "Unhand her" is pointing at the horse's head. I wonder if Immaculata might secretly be Covenant's long-lost love. At the end, she has yet a third identity, it seems. The big last-page reveal is that she's been transformed by Heaven into an angel. Heaven is all over the place when it comes to recruiting soldiers. Angels who seem to have always been angels, angels formed by the merging of a bunch of souls, angels now, I guess, who used to be just one person, and male redeemers created in all kinds of random ways. I call this inconsistent, except Heaven has never been able to make up its mind at all regarding battle strategy. Immaculata is a logical choice. She's extremely devoted to her faith and thinks she needs to find repentance for her sins, so she'll do anything her celestial betters command. The name Immaculata is a comic book sounding warrior name, and it reflects the purity she's seeking. I hope in her new form, she keeps it. Immaculata might even be one of the angels we've seen in present day Spawn stories, though few are never named or set apart from the others. Some fascinating character stuff could potentially be done with Spawn becoming mortal enemies with his former love, and being indirectly responsible for her own paralleled rebirth. It reminds me of the missed opportunity McFarlane had with choosing not to leave Jason Wynn in the anti-Spawn garb, except this would be practically the exact flip of that idea. A solid beginning and another, so far, welcome reprieve from the wacky and pointless adventures of Al Simmons. If I ever had the chance to write a Spawn spin-off, that's what I'd call it. It would be in the style of a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. Violator would be the obligatory talking dog. Man, I really do sort of miss him. Signed, Captain Logan.